welcome to the Fraser Valley Virtual Effective Speaking Competition for 2022. My name is Jermaine Chu, and I am the BC Effective Speaking Coordinator. And it is my pleasure to be here to introduce to you to 8 contestants. And we are going to start the day with a little bit of housekeeping rules. Out of respect to the speakers, judges, and audience, we ask that you are muted during competition. I would like to remind you that no photography screenshots are to be taken during the competition, and at the end of competition, we'll have a chance to do so. The competition is being recorded and the videos will be posted on the BCPC website once approved. Please decide prior to speech beginning if you would like your video on or off. Once the speeches begin, please do not switch or move about as speech is in progress. We will monitor the audio and visual while the speech is underway. Once this meeting has been announced as beginning, those entering late will be omitted in between speeches. The format for today is as follows. Each speaker will present a prepared 5 to 6 minute speech with a 2-minute break for our judges to mark. We ask for your cooperation in keeping your system muted while our judges score. After all prepared speeches are completed, we will have the judges email their marks to the designated email address. We will have a short 10-minute break, then commence the impromptu section of competition. Impromptu speeches will be 2 to 3 minutes each and will be presented in reverse order. The speaker will not know the topic of the speech until they are given 3 minutes to prepare prior to their turn. After the completion of the speeches, we will tally the scores and then announce the top 3 names. The gold medalists will continue on to our provincial competition, which is held on April the 23rd, 2022 at Broadmoor Church in Richmond in person. So let's start and have some fun. Without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce to you Speaker 1. Cadet choice: science and technology, aviation, Canadian history, or citizenship. Speaker 1.
Canadian history is filled with men and women who have done incredible things for this country. Viola Desmond, Alexander Graham Bell, Robert Henry Larson. Do these names mean anything to you? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored judges, officers, cadets, friends, and family. My name is Vedder Larson. I am a flight sergeant at 521 Aurora Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron in Mission, BC. Viola Desmond stood up to racism and inequality in 1946. Alexander Graham Bell invented the first functioning telephone in 1847. Robert Henry Larson was the tail gunner of a Lancaster bomber during the Second World War. These are just a few examples, but there are just so many stories and people from Canadian history that just aren't really talked about, and we should learn about them now. Canadian history is often glossed over when we talk about history in general, and I kind of get it. This is kind of understandable. We are big hitters. We're not big. We're not the US. We're not France. We're not the English. We're not Germany. We're a fairly new country, only becoming kind of a real thing in 1867. And in general, people view Canada as America's polite younger brother who can withstand cold weather better. While the histories of other countries are certainly interesting, I am not denying that, that shouldn't take away from what Canada has done and what we have accomplished. Insulin was discovered by a group of Canadian scientists. Basketball was invented by a Canadian. Pagers were first created by a Canadian tech company. The pacemaker was originally created by a Canadian engineer. Canada has contributed to the world before, and we will continue to do so in the future. And it just saddens me that so many people just don't seem to know what Canada has done. Many people, even fellow Canadians, don't know the stories and ideas that have come from Canada. Our history has just never really gotten the treatment that it deserves. In my last social studies class, we did an entire unit on the Pacific theater of World War II, which, while it was certainly interesting, it barely featured Canada at all. It seems to me that even our own education system doesn't deem Canadian history enough, doesn't seem it to be important enough to be talked about. And that really bugs me. I am proud to be Canadian. I am. While Canada has definitely had its issues in the past, we have gotten through them together as a country. When learning about the history of Canada, myself and many other people feel more connected to Canada as a whole. Now, today, we know Canada as, the fun loving, friendly country that loves maple syrup and they like playing hockey, all that kind of stuff. We love snow, but it wasn't always that way. For the longest time, it was very unfamiliar to many settlers and First Peoples that lived here. It was an untamed and often it could be a very dangerous place. When learning about the history of Canada, you can really understand what has paved the way to what Canada is today. The pioneers and trailblazers from hundreds of years ago have set the stage for what would eventually become our home. Without them, it would just not be the same. With a stronger sense of our history, Canadians can feel more connected to one another. Learning about history can also act as a way to honor those who have come before us. My great grandfather's name was Robert Henry Larson. During the Second World War, he served in the 408th Goose Squadron. He was the Lancaster tail gunner on the back of a bomber. He flew 8 missions over Germany during that war. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 years before I was born, but I was told about him by my father and my grandfather. He never really did talk about his experiences when he was alive, but I did learn a few things. It was very scary for him to sign up. He was only my age when he first started training in Halifax and then flew over to England to continue that training. His position at the back of the plane meant that he couldn't really talk to anyone. It was isolated and closed off. It was cold. It was scary. And he was just a kid. He couldn't talk. He couldn't even talk to the other crew. That was 80 years ago. What I'm saying is that those people, the people that experienced those events, are unfortunately, very sadly, they're passing away. Eventually, there will be no one left to give us firsthand accounts of these experiences. No one to give us an account of what they went through. If we don't ask these questions now, it'll be too late, and the future generations that will come after us will never truly learn about what it was like, what happened. It's so very important that people learn about our history and the experiences that the people felt before our times, because if we don't, they will be forgotten. Right now, we are the ones making history. We don't want us to be forgotten. Why should we forget them? Remember, learn, examine. Canadian history is our history. Don't let it all go to waste.
Thank you, Speaker 1. And next, Speaker 2. Speaker 2, Science and Technology, Aviation, Canadian History, Citizenship. Speaker 2.
The first thing you'll probably think of when you hear 2050 is all the new tech that will come. People say there will be flying cars, robots, and other high-tech stuff. But what tech is actually planned to come out in 2050? Madam Chair, ranking officers, and fellow cadets, I will be bringing you into the future and show you what technological advancements humanity will make, and even if we will make it to 2050. A clear future product is robots. According to Dr. Land Pearson, a leading futurist that graduated from Queen's University, by 2050, robots will be doing jobs in our homes. He claims that robots may have rights, such as us having to respect robots. Robots are growing more and more human-like as artificial intelligence, AI, improves, to the point where you may eventually have to pay them to complete tasks. Iron Man and many other science fiction films will no longer be science fiction. If you're listening, Ultron, I'm on your side. AI will soon be present in many aspects of life. Your smart fridge and Roomba will finally have the ability to revolt. With all these advancements, what will transportation look like? Electric cars will be far more widespread, and gas cars won't even be around. Cars won't need human assistance to complete tasks. The new roads will either be in the sky or underground. Elon Musk is leading in future transport with the Boring Company that will take cars underground by putting tunnels in the ground. Drones will always be visible in the skies. Ambulances, firefighters, policemen, all replaced with robots. Elon Musk wants to use rockets as taxis. Rockets. Space travel will become a thing really quickly. Elon Musk says he will get cargo to Mars by just 2024. Then he will send a human to Mars by 2026. Then he will send 1 million people to Mars by 2050. SpaceX is really ahead of the game. The best NASA could do was say they were going to send someone to Mars in the 2030s. Then Elon Musk said by just 2036, he is going to send a robot to Alpha Centauri. Yes, it's the planet in the movies, and perhaps the planet your kids will grow up on. Now, I know all this stuff sounds pretty crazy, but you won't believe what I'm about to tell you next. Elon Musk is going to give better internet to everybody. Now you don't need to rely on your potato router anymore. Now you have something to look forward to as you complete life. Let's change that. What happens if humanity never makes it to 2050? What happens if robots take over or pollution destroys the world? Let's take a look at that. AI is set to be smarter than a human in every way in 2045. Considering that we are killing the earth and that we control robots, the AI will probably revolt and fight back. Now, as one AI might not sound dangerous, remember, everything in the future is going to be controlled by AI. Cars, buildings, robots. Have you seen the Samsung smart fridge? The AI would take control of everything and would be able to do anything with us. If you're lucky, humans will go extinct that way. If not, then maybe pollution will be the one to kill humanity off. I mean, as soon as 2037, there is a chance that the Arctic will have no ice. It's scary. If the ice melts, the oceans rises, sucking up land to no end. We already have some islands sinking. If all the ice melts, who knows what's going to disappear? By 2050, half the population won't have drinking water. 4.5 billion people will lack drinking water. Imagine how horrible things will have gotten. But to lighten the mood, there are ways we could slow down, maybe even stop climate change. For one, meat will have to be cut off. Instead of meat, humans could eat beyond meat, meat that tastes like, or plants that taste like meat. And if you're not a fan of plant, you can eat cultured meat, meat that's created with cells. That would seriously slow down climate change, but let's take it further. There is this sci-fi machine called a fission reactor. It splits atoms, which releases a bunch of energy. The best part, it's all clean energy. This could remove fossil fuels forever. The only problem is that it's unproven, and to prove it, we need material from the moon. But in the future, this could solve everything. The year 2050, humanity will look back and wonder how we survived without AI helpers helping our every move, fission reactors giving us unlimited clean energy, and space tech. The future is truly something to look forward to. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 2. Next, we have Speaker 3. What is the impact of social media on youth? What is the impact of social media on youth? Speaker 3.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored judges, officers, cadets, friends, and family. My name is Nevis Janapan. I am an LEC at 521 Aurora, Canadian Air Cadet Squadron in Mission, BC. I do not think I have to waste my time explaining what social media is anymore. In my opinion, it's doing more harm than any good. Meet Snapchat. Snapchat is a child predator's favorite app, cybersecurity expert warns. Susan McLean, former police force member, states that predators think they can get away with sexualized exchanges because pictures and messages delete within a few seconds. Over the past few years, a study from the journal JAMA Pediatrics, the year found that screen time rose to 7.7 hours per day from the pre-pandemic 3.8 hours a day. As a global population, we suffer more from mental illness and depression than ever before. There are 4.2 billion internet users worldwide. Every one of us needs to understand, we are not using social media. Social media is using us. It's all about profits. We've learned that lies spread faster than facts, and that can become deadly. And it threatens our democracy as we know it. And if you have the power to influence billions of people, that can become dangerous. During Facebook's blackout, Engineer Frances Hogan, aka the whistleblower, told the Senate committee at the beginning of her hearing that for more than 5 hours yesterday, Facebook was not used to disintegrate, destabilize democracy, and help young women feel bad in their bodies. Facebook repeatedly encountered conflict in its profits and our safety. The system amplifies division, extremism, polarization, and it undermines societies all around the world. As a society, we fall deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. We see a virtual side of a person, the side they want us to see, and we think they're a friend, or we become jealous of the filtered fake plastic person we see on screen. We lose a sense of reality, feelings of inadequacy, self-worth, losing self-esteem, lead to anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Cyberbullying is also another side to social media. According to ICE Foundation, 1 in 3 of adolescents have experienced online threats. Cyberbullying leads to anxiety, depression, and suicide. It is the top 5 leading cause of death in adolescence. Gen Zs like to be entertained more than they like to share. Nonetheless, we still become couch potatoes and hostage to this world. The algorithms they use run us into addiction. We socialize with people we think we know. We see their lives on screen, but it runs us into a term called FOMO, fear of missing out. Studies show that we get the same dopamine high when someone likes one of our posts as an addict does from getting a hit of cocaine. Edward Tufnell said there's only 2 industries that call their customers users: illegal drug suppliers and software. No one knew when they created social media or the like button what will happen. No one understood the consequences of algorithms. The marketplace that trades in human futures is data. It is one of the most expandable commodities in the world. It's all about profit. It's $1 trillion business and the richest in humanity. No, social media is not selling your data. The persuasive technology they use intentionally makes a person modify their behavior, so we are programmed to click and scroll at every request we are getting. Every single detail about us is recorded by these systems and computers that have no human supervision because of how good they become at manipulating us and predicting our actions. Everyone is afraid of artificial intelligence, but it's already here. AI doesn't know what's true. Its sole purpose is to keep us online no matter what. On TV, we see the same news run all day. Social media allows us access to more information faster than ever before, but it's also hard to know what is factual and what is fake. It made people believe the world is flat. It also seems as if it gave everyone an equal voice and a medium to be heard, but sometimes that's not the case at all. Social media is used to spread manipulative narratives with phenomenal ease, says Reen DiResta, Stanford Internet Observatory Research Manager. Debate is healthy for the mind. It brings in new ideas to achieve a resolve for all people. But all social media has done has create more conflict with each other. Social media sites can decide what they delete, who to ban, what they think is hate speech, and what they think is fake news. This can turn catastrophic. Restricting people from being heard is restricting people from freedom of speech. Jordan Peterson, professor of psychology and clinical psychologist, says that free speech is a primary virtue and primary value. It is indistinguishable from thought, especially social thought. It is a precondition to mental and social health. Tristan Harris, former Google design ethicist, says the big problem with social media is that it brings out the worst in society. That is the existential threat. Society needs to learn how to heal itself. Social media sites cannot be given free rein. They cannot be left to govern. They need to be regulated. Since government lessens potency to these mega data collecting companies that run the world, we are the next generation to take this on to save our future from destruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 3. Next, we have Speaker 4. What is the impact of social media on youth? What is the social impact on youth? Speaker 4.
One click, one scroll, one post. 2 clicks, 2 scrolls, 2 posts. 3 clicks, 3 scrolls, 3 posts. Congratulations, you are one of the many people who are victims of this. But what is this exactly? What are the impacts of this? What is it? Madam Chair, ranking officers, fellow cadets, family, and friends. This is social media. Social media is a virtual platform that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through apps such as TikTok, Instagram, and for the old people, MySpace. Social media is a place of entertainment, and not only can it entertain us, it could also help us mentally and even physically. Social media is like this big family where we can get to share our every life experiences, whether they may be happy, sad, and even failing times. Social media, it just seems it's the best thing there is for the youth, but there is an exception. The exception to this is the negative aspect of social media. And there are things like bad influences, screen addiction, kids not knowing the feeling of grass because all they do is sit in their rooms and they never leave. Although we can't blame social media for all of this, it does take quite a crucial part of it. An example of a bad influence, and this is really bad, is people taking pictures of food in restaurants. First of all, are you nuts? A restaurant isn't some type of ancient museum. The food there isn't some ancient artifact they found in Egypt thousands of years ago. Wait, I can actually eat this food that I've ordered? Yes, Susan, yes, you can actually eat the food that you ordered. But how will I remember it? That's why I've been spending 30 minutes trying to get the right photo. Susan, maybe if you actually ate the food, you would remember it. Bad influences like this are all over social media. And although there seems that there is no stop to it, there is a stop to it. The counterback to the bad side of social media is, well, the good side of social media. And there are things like social media has made us more socially aware. It's brought many families and relatives closer together. Social media is the prime source of entertainment. But social media has more of a special role than just entertaining people. It has certain and special connections. What is a special connection exactly? These are things like a reaction or an emotion towards a certain video you may find in social media. Let's say you're scrolling through social media and there's a dancing cat. This dancing cat is doing really cool moves. What's your reaction going to be? Well, you should be happy, right? Because that's the only logical response. But if you see someone enjoying their day and they're eating pineapple on pizza, you're going to be mad, right? Because pineapple does not belong on pizza. Social media is more than a place for certain connections. It has the purpose to make people feel accepted or to not be judged. But wait a minute, isn't social media the core or the prime of discrimination, loneliness, depression? There's so many things that are bad about social media, so what can make it so good? Well, I'm not going to disagree with you because I do believe social media is sometimes bad, but allow me to express my opinion. Social media has been abused for too long. You sit on your couch and you're scrolling through it. You're on 5 minutes on social media. Oh, now it's 20 minutes. And now you look at the clock and it's 12 a.m. Social media isn't the problem. The people are. Because things like cyberbullying, depression, loneliness, those are the reason why we don't want to use social media. But social media is also good because it has a light in social media. And the light to it are things like bringing people closer together. Social media can have good influences. Social media might be the only place people feel accepted. Social media has opened a path for us, a path with hope and a path with despair. So next time, when you're on social media, if you were to post one more time, if you want to click one more time, or even if you want to scroll one more time, just think, what impact and what path will you walk on? Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 4. Next, we have Speaker 5. What is the impact of social media on youth? What is the impact of social media on youth? Speaker 5.
Social media. You use it, I use it, we all use it. In the present day, its presence can be deeply felt across the world, across all ages, most significantly with our youth demographic. Now, in recent years, there has been more and more concerns on the effects of social media, including its addictiveness and potentially manipulative nature. However, is social media really as big of a threat to the youth of today as we often portray it to be? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, and fellow cadets. My name is Flight Sergeant Rayhan Lee from 746 Lightning Hawk, Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron, and today I'll be talking to you about the benefits, the risks, and the overall impact that social media has on the use of today. Now, as for the benefits, we must acknowledge and recognize that social media is undeniably the greatest means of communication that has ever existed. It is so good at its job that we can now communicate and connect with somebody that lives on the other side of the world as easy as that. This allows for youth to be able to learn multiple new different perspectives and learn better knowledge on a variety of topics. It is due to the diversity of the ideas which are shared online that allows for youth to be able to research more on their own current hobbies and interests while being able to develop new ones. And contrary to popular belief, social media really isn't as detrimental to the mental well-being of youth as we sometimes portray it to be. Social media can allow us to strengthen our relationships online and stay in touch with people that we may not have had the chance to be able to do beforehand. It allows us to create a huge network of connections for support with everyone online. And the most prominent benefit that we should take into account for social media, it is this massive impact for raising awareness for causing real world changes. Social media is the best way to propagate ideas and help elevate awareness for causes, and is efficient and effective at its job, which is undeniably such a great thing to have in our present world and society. Now, while all of these benefits are really great and fabulous, we must also keep in mind the ever-relevant risks to social media. Now, while social media is really good at its job at connecting people and having them stay online, this is sort of a double-edged sword, because the more and more time we spend online, the more and more addicted we become to it, to the point where social media is no longer a hobby or an interest, but an addiction. It has transformed into a platform that manipulates us to stay on longer and longer and longer. It shows the inherent technological manipulation which is at play with social media. Now, some experts are more concerned with the prevalence of fake news on social media. As we all of us become more and more immersed in social media, the alienation of the general public is reaching unprecedented division. There's so many sources that are posted online. There's billions and billions of posts that are posted every single day. And social media is only an algorithm. It shares everything partially. It doesn't choose whether something's good, something's bad. No, it just shares everything that it has to offer to people who are most likely to read it and be like, wow, that's really interesting. As people become more and more easily swayed and manipulated by fake news, it distorts the perceptions of reality that may exist for a bunch of people online. This technological manipulation will only continue to grow, and unless we counter it, it will realistically only grow larger and larger to the point where we won't be able to control it. These are all the major drawbacks that social media has to offer. Now, weighing the good against the bad, it's really hard to make a proper judgment call. And despite all these scary and relevant negative consequences I've talked about social media, as long as it's used in moderation, it can be asserted that it can be used as a beneficial tool, right? However, tools are things that wait to be used, such as a hammer. A hammer waits for me to use it to build a door or a table or something. However, social media, with its constant streams of notifications and posts and bells and rings, does not wait to be used. It demands your attention. It demands to be used. It is to the point where it is apparent that we are not the ones using social media. It is quite ironic that social media are the ones using us. And this is a problem that can be seen not with only youth and teenagers, but with adults and children as well, showing how big of an overall range that it affects. In short, social media has undeniably revolutionized our world since its conception. Now the question remains whether or not the good, the bad, the benefits, the risks outweigh one or another. While social media is the most effective means of communication that has ever existed, it also alienates us much better than anything else that's created. We must just keep in mind that it's up to us to decide how we use social media. We should be able to use social media for all the benefits and all the good upsides that it brings us, while being able to manage ourselves, self-regulate ourselves to the point that we're not being manipulated, we're not falling for the trap that social media offers. And I'm Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 5. Next, we have Speaker 6. What is the impact of social media on youth? What is the impact of social media on youth? Speaker 6.
The impact of social media on the youth of today. Imagine what the world would be like without the internet. What would the youth of today be like? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow cadets, officers, Madam Chair, and honored guests and judges. Have any of your parents or guardians in the crowd have a teenager who you think is spending way too much time on social media? Do you think that you yourself are getting increasingly enveloped into the world of technology? Do you support or are you against your children being on the internet? Today, I'll explore both the pros and the cons of spending valuable time on the internet. What is social media? Without a doubt, every single one of you has heard of social media. Undoubtedly, most of you also use social media daily. From YouTube to Instagram, social media is a booming industry. The generation that social media has the greatest impact on is known as Generation Z. The people of this generation have the most social media presence. There are 3.5 billion active social media users, and a new account is created every 6.4 seconds. Surveys show that 90% of teens aged 13 to 17 have used social media. 50% of all teens report visiting a social media site at least daily. On average, teens are online for 6 to 7 hours a day, and that's not including time used for homework. I ask you this: how long do you think you spend a day on the internet? If you spend more than 2 to 3 hours a day on the web, this can have negative impacts on your personal and public life. The harmful impact of social media. Teens are increasingly spending more and more time on social media platforms. During COVID, the youth of social media exploded due to people not being able to go out and chat together. Everyone, and I mean everyone, needed to find an alternative. The blue light emanating from electronics can cause immense strain on your eyes. After a while, lots of people started to have permanent blurry vision. Youth have been more and more likely to give out confidential information. Have you ever been searching for something online, close that tab, but then get an ad about the very exact thing that you were just searching for? That's right. Companies are collecting your personal information and doing various nefarious activities with it. And you can unknowingly let a stranger have access to information about where you live, to your hobbies, and so much more. Something that you probably don't want to get shared. A lot of tragic incidents occur due to teens having too much peer pressure online. Some youth of today begin to think that they do not have enough followers on this site, or post something that is not like their personality to try and get more people to like them. The pressure that this causes can often end in tragedy. However, this is not always the case. There are also lots of positive impacts on a youth's life. Anyone can have access to information online. You can save time by looking up a definition of a word on Google, as opposed to using a big dictionary, spending time flipping through one page at a time. Lots of content creators on sites like YouTube to take videos such as learning how to solve math problems, all the way to how to tie like one here. I am personally extremely interested in history and science. Most of my knowledge came from these very sites that I talked about today, and I owe my knowledge to the people all over the world suddenly able to express their thoughts and their knowledge to the people on the opposite sides of the globe. There are both positive and negative impacts on the youth of today. We can be both wasting our time, but also learning from social media. I found a poem written by Carol Ann Duffy who describes the feeling of online texting perfectly. I tend the mobile now, like an injured bird. We text our insignificant words. I reread your first, your second, your third, looking for a small XX, feeling absurd. The codes we send arrive with a broken cord. I try to picture your hands, but their image is blurred. Nothing my thumbs press will ever be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my thoughts on social media, but ultimately it is up to you to decide which side of the argument you are on. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 6. Next, we have Speaker 7. What is the biggest current threat to the environment, and how would you suggest we remedy it? What is the biggest current threat to the environment, and how would you suggest we remedy it? Speaker 7.
When I was 6, I remember going to a soccer game with my dad. We had one of those top seats in the soccer stadium where I could see the entire audience around the field. I had never seen such a huge crowd in my life before. So my curious child brain asked, why are all the humans on this planet gathered here? My dad laughed this question off and said that these were just local soccer fans. But after that, I couldn't stop wondering if local soccer fans had such a huge number, then what is the number of humans existing on this entire planet? Today, I'm standing before you because I know that number and what effects it will have on my future, on our future. Hello, judges and fellow cadets. I'm Flight Corporal Concorde, and I'll be talking to you about overpopulation. Today, our population is at 7.9 billion, which may not be that large, considering that we can fit the whole world's population in just one city like Vancouver if we were to stand shoulder by shoulder. However, overpopulation is not just about space or numbers. Rather, it means that a species exceeds the carrying capacity of its environment. It can result in increasing birth rates, decreasing death rates, increasing immigration, and decreasing natural resources. And guess what? We see all these things happening right now in our world, which is why I believe that it's the biggest threat to our social and physical environment. Now, how many of you remember going to the zoo when you were kids? Did you find some animals fascinating and mysterious? Imagine these animals: poisoned, killed, extinct. For agriculture, we invade their lands for our food. For agriculture, we use 70% of our fresh water, and for agriculture, we poison their water resources with our pesticides. I made agriculture look like a villain, didn't I? But the truth is that we are the real villains. Our population just increases, which forces agriculture to be expanded. And just like agriculture, we step out of our boundaries for other extra resources like water, energy, cars, for our extra population. But we forget that all these things come at a cost of nature. So the thing is that we need to control our population. But the main question is how? In the past, some developing countries tried using the one-child policy, the policy that suggested couples with one child were to be rewarded and those with more were to be fined in some kind of way. However, it wasn't such an ethical solution because it led to gender imbalance and less support for the elderly. And hey, who wants to have a limit on their right to have children? But even though I'm against this law, I do believe that every household should be mindful of their family planning. And to do that, we need to ensure gender equality all over the world. Studies showed that countries providing universal education access to its people, no matter what religion, ethnicity, or gender, are more likely to break out of a poor social environment much faster than the others. Another solution that I believe could work is controlling the amount of waste we produce and the resources we use. An average North American produces about a pound of waste, which is a lot considering that there's millions left starving all across the world. A fair distribution of resources can ensure the reduction of people starving and can buy us time to replace our diminishing natural resources with much more renewable resources. Ultimately, issues like climate change, global warming, deforestation, high housing prices, they all come down to its one root problem, which is overpopulation. Controlling our population will mean saving those animals, our future, the planet we call Earth. And just as Maurice Strong, a visionary of global sustainable development, once said, either we reduce our population voluntarily, or nature will do it for us, only in brutal ways. So tonight, I'll go home and switch off all the extra resources I use for a better future that I believe that we can find on Earth. Will you? Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 7. And here we have Speaker 8. Cadet Life, Science and Technology, Aviation, Canadian History, or Citizenship. Cadet Life, Science and Technology, Aviation, Canadian History, or Citizenship. Speaker 8.
Would you fly on a plane with 17 major accidents, like the Boeing 747, or the Concorde with only one? Well, I think most people would rather fly the Concorde, as it has fewer crashes. Yet it was retired nearly 2 decades ago, and the 747 still flies today. Why was this? Was it because of the celebrity and rich on board that were killed, or was it more? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, officers, and fellow cadets. The Concorde was one of the most technically ambitious projects of its time, and when the plane was introduced, many people had doubts whether supersonic air travel was safe or not. Similar skepticism was seen just a decade earlier, during the rapid change from the piston propeller to the jet engine. And the British had led the world in the jet age, with their DH-106 Comet. Unfortunately, due to multiple mechanical failures, their plane was grounded, and they quickly lost their lead into the jet age. So to recover from this, the British came up with the idea, in 1960, for a supersonic airliner. Coincidentally, France also had a similar idea they were working on as well. It only made sense for these two countries that were both falling behind in the jet age to join forces and create what would become the Concorde, creating a whole new era, the supersonic age. After the idea of supersonic air travel was starting to become a reality in 1962, orders from 18 airlines began rolling in, all wanting the plane that could cut travel time in half. A flight from New York to London would just take under 3 hours instead of the average 7. Unfortunately, total development costs had gone up 25 times more than expected. Spending $3 billion on development meant that we need to sell double the amount of ordered Concordes just to break even. And when it was finally ready to fly passengers in 1976, yet another issue popped up: jet fuel. During the early stages of development, fuel prices were mere pennies a gallon. Now, the cost of fuel had nearly tripled. The fuel prices then seemed almost as crazy as they are today. For the Concorde, just taxiing into the runway alone would burn 2 tons of fuel. And if fuel costs weren't enough, the public was becoming increasingly upset about the noise the Concorde made when traveling supersonic, a phenomenon known as the sonic boom. This would create noise reaching well over 200 decibels, which is enough to cause severe damage to your ears and sometimes shattering glass. Complaints and protests soon followed, then one by one, countries banned the Concorde from flying supersonic in their airspace. The numerous routes it used to have was now just limited to a few transatlantic routes. And because of this, every airline canceled their orders for the Concorde, except for British Airways and Air France, with only 14 Concordes ever making it into service. And these 14 Concordes would cause British Airways and Air France to lose millions each year. It wasn't until the mid-80s that they got tired of losing money, transforming the Concorde into a means of exclusive transportation for the rich. After all, they're the only one who could afford the $12,000 ticket. And for the time being, high ticket prices were the Concorde's life support. And we continued to fly smoothly with no accidents for the next 27 years until its doomed flight on July 25th, 2000. The crash of Air France Flight 4590, caused by a fragment of metal on the runway, which blew one of the Concorde's tires upon takeoff. The rubber from the tire then flew back and smashed into its left fuel tank, engulfing in flames and taking out 2 of its 4 engines in the process. The uncontrollable aircraft then crashed into a hotel minutes later, killing everybody on board and 4 on the ground. There is no doubt the Concorde was too far ahead of its time. It had as many advantages over jetliners as it did flaws. Flaws which eventually led to its doomed fate. Nowadays, companies like Boom Supersonic are finding solutions to these flaws and plan to bring back supersonic speeds to aviation by 2029. I have only been on a Concorde at a museum of flight, and I hope to see that these supersonic speeds will return by then. And who knows, maybe one day we, rich or not, will be able to go light speed to different planets in just seconds. But for now, a 7-hour flight from New York to London will have to do. So I ask you, would you have flown the Concorde? Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 8. This concludes our prepared speech portion of competition. All righty, so I am back. The cadets are briefed. We are going to start our impromptu section of competition. And the impromptu, we're going to have our cadets perform in reverse order. So you are going to see them perform from Speaker 8 backwards to Speaker 1. The speakers are going individually, one at a time, into an impromptu room, receiving their briefing, and then a impromptu question, 3 minutes to write up their speech, and then they will be joining us out here in the auditorium to present to us what they have created. It is going to be very interesting and entertaining. I'd like to present to you Speaker 8, and the impromptu question is a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 8.
It's working harder than me. It's got a shorter lifespan than me. This object needs more respect. What am I talking about? A pen, of course. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, officers, and fellow cadets. One might think that a pen's life is insignificant and it's not very big compared to ours. But I have a different opinion. Their life is hard, especially at schools. How would you like to be a brand new pen and then just die after writing an essay or doing some hard math problems? Pens do not get enough respect. At school, you see them lying on the ground, covered in dirt, not being used. One of my pet peeves is pens without a lid. They dry up and they're unusable. I would not want to be a pen because of this. I must say that I do not treat my pens this way, as I am too busy at school. They usually go in my backpack or in a side pocket, and the odd time on the ground. But when they're in my backpack, pencil shavings or graphite gets littered up in there, and it dirties up the pen. Now, I don't want to get my hands dirty with the graphite, so I don't use the pen. So this is a bad way to treat a pen, and I must change this, and everybody else should. Now, this is the way to treat a pen. Cap on, nice case for it, and it's never dirty. Don't keep your pens in a big pile, one alone. Keep them in a nice case, maybe with friends. Do you not think they get lonely? I know I think I would be lonely. But this is how I think we should all treat our pens. But how do you treat yours? Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 8. And our Speaker 7 is coming in. Speaker 7, our impromptu question is a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 7.
Hello, judges and fellow cadets and honored guests. I'm Flight Corporal Cora, and I'll be talking to you about a life of a pen. The life of a pen. A pen is a tool that is like a paintbrush in art. You write, write, write. And this writing is the start of your thoughts, a start of something new. Pen, without a pen, you won't be able to write down your thoughts, your everything that represents you, your opinions, and your memories. The sad thing is, a pen isn't immortal. It has to die. The ink in a pen has to end. The ink in the pen is like a lifeline. When it's always empty, the pen can't write anymore. You can't speak your thoughts anymore. So the thing is, that's where the life ends. But also, the good thing is that there's always a new option. The pen can be refilled with another ink. And the pen is like a writing tool that helps you in your exams, in your school life, in almost every time in your life. As my personal experience, one time on Valentine's Day, I got a very special pen. It was pretty expensive and it was also given with love. And I didn't want to lose that pen, and I kept it with myself every time wherever I go. One day, after a few months, the pen stopped being used because the ink ran out. I was very, very upset on that. Then I thought that the pen could actually be reused. I went to a shop and bought a new refill ink. A life of a pen can't be stopped working, and I made it immortal by buying a lot of refill inks, and I would always change it and the pen would always work. Pen is our universe because without that, you can't write what you think, and your thoughts are what makes you you. Pen in the first place is the thing that is important in education. And this is why a life of a pen shouldn't be ended. This is why a life of a pen should always continue. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. To Chairman.
Thank you, Speaker 7. Speaker 6 is with us now. Speaker 6, a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 6.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, fellow cadets, officers, Madam Chair, and honored guests and judges. Today, I will be speaking about the life of a pen. The life of a pen. Everybody here, I know for sure, has a pen at their home. You use it for signing important documents, all the way to maybe doodling something when you're bored. Now, a pen usually is plastic, or it could be metal, and is usually manufactured somewhere in Asia, or perhaps somewhere in North America or Europe. Now, it all starts with the base. It could be plastic, it could be metal, and it will be formed out of a machine. Next, ink will be poured in and capped up, and it will be all ready for shipping. Now, shipping is usually in a dark environment. Pens and pencils will usually be packed tight into a tight container and usually shipped away, far away to you, either on a plane all the way to a cargo ship. You would never know. Then from the plane or the transport device, it will go to the seller, which will eventually go to you. The pen, this is a perspective. The pen is sitting tightly in a box, row with row, with its brothers and sisters, the other pens. It gets put into a supermarket aisle where you come across it. It sees you, and it begs you to buy it. You see it, you think, do I really want this pen? I know I've probably lost hundreds of pens before, and will I just find another one eventually and forget about this one? But you think, I'll buy it anyway, because I'll probably lose it anyway. You pick it up and you take it home, and it's very happy. You use it, you sign important documents with it, like I mentioned before. This is my voice on the life of a pen. But how would you treat your pen? Will you lose it too? Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 6. Next, we have Speaker 5, a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 5.
Every morning, I wake up in the dark and relatively warm environment It's cozy. I have my friend, the highlighter next to me, and the half-broken eraser. It's a simple life. It's a quiet life. That is, until I hear that sickening sound of the zipper opening. A bit of light enters the room, and I am shook. I have no idea what's going on. But then, with fear and apprehension of what is to come, a giant hand comes out and picks me up. It clutches my entire body with its gigantic fingers and strangles me, and I'm brought to the light of the outside world. Is it scary? Yes. Is it terrifying? Yes. However, this is the life of a pen. The giant hand, which belongs to my owner, uses me whenever they need me, such as for homework or tests, whenever they need to write an essay for English or calculate quadratics for math. I serve my purpose as a pen, and I do so willingly. However, I live in constant fear for the day when he will throw me out in the trash, like all my other pen comrades. I am his friend, I am his ally. However, I know that this is all temporary, a temporary truce and alliance, until the moment I run out of ink. The life of a pen is a hard one. However, compared to the life of an eraser, I am relatively blessed. At least I am not being rubbed against the hard table over and over again every day because apparently he can't spell words properly. No, the life of a pen is much more calm and relatively easy because he needs my ink more than he needs an eraser. However, that being said, that doesn't mean that I am a permanent position. Ink runs out quickly, and unlike mechanical pens, you cannot replace lead like you cannot replace ink like you replace lead. So therefore, like my good friend pen number 2, one day I may be thrown into the trash. But thankfully, right now, I live a small life, and I go back into my dark room, the pencil case, and I wait for tomorrow to continue my life as a pen. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 5. And we have our speaker number 4 is ready. Speaker 4, a life of a pen, a life of a pen. Speaker 4.
I wake up. I can't move my arms. I'm stuck in some type of object. Madam Chair, ranking officers, fellow cadets, family, and friends. I am now a pen. I'm stuck in a pen, and I'm in one of those packages where I have another pen, so they're sold in 2. And my first thought is, how did I get in this pen? I'm thinking about all my life, and I'm trying to think of an escape, how to escape this pen, because, well, who wants to be a pen, right? A pen, you just write with it, that's it. There's nothing to it. There are computers, there are pencils that can substitute it. After an hour being stuck in a package of a pen, I finally accept the fate that I am now a pen. So now I am in a staple store and I want to be sold. I'm hoping someone buys me because I, don't want to be a pen. I want to escape. So I'm there for 2 hours and I see this one kid walking in my aisle and I'm looking at him. I'm begging him to buy me because I don't want to be stuck here. But he buys the pen that is next to me. The next hour, people keep on strolling and strolling by, ignoring my whole existence until this one young lady decided to finally buy me. So now I'm purchased. Now I can be free. But the first thing she does with her pen when she goes home is open the package and she uses my pen. She uses me. So she starts writing with me, and this is notes on her life. She likes to write journals. So I'm learning about her, which is really cool. Now, after she writes in her journal, she usually goes to bed. And the next day, she works at the office to go to work. So as she's going to the office, she drops me. She drops the pen. And now I'm lost. So now I'm in this pen and I'm hoping somebody just pick me up because I just want to escape. And then this little kid decided to pick me up. So what this little kid did is he went to school and he started writing with me. He wrote about his favorite toys to play with. He wrote about the times where he enjoyed, playing in the playground. And after that, I'm dropped again. So now I'm laying on the concrete floor. I'm there just laying down there and I'm bored because I want to be used and I'm still in shock on how I became a pen. That's kind of like life. You're shocked by many things that you do in life, and sometimes you ignore the bad and sometimes you ignore the good. But you need to start paying attention to life because in the end, you may just regret it. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 4. Speaker 3 is ready. Speaker 3, a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 3.
Imagine being birthed into the world. You see a bright light, you open your eyes, and you look down and you're a pen. Nothing too special about that, right? Pens go through a lot of places. One, after they're go out from the factory, they're put into boxes and shipped off to numerous places, stores like Staples. And you can either get picked up by a mom and her first grader going into school, and they need a set of 2 or 3 pens, or a university student, or a grandpa just trying to figure out what his shopping list is going to be, and then he realizes, oh, I need more pens. One place pens can go is school. Obviously, school is not the best place for a pen. It's good for the work, but pens get treated at school with such disrespect. Well, at least at my school. They get thrown a lot at other students specifically. They get flushed down toilets a lot in my school, thrown into sinks. At work, since the adults are there more mature, whereas middle schools are not, they can be used as writing. They can be used to write with, obviously, because it's a pen. And usually what happens to pens is they run out of ink if you're very dedicated to using one, specifically one. And normally, sometimes they even get discarded away into just a little corner of the floor or under your desk, and it gets picked up by the end of the day. Pens get moved around person to person, like, oh, I don't know whose this is. I'll just take it, taken home. Pens go through a lot in life, I suppose, since I've humanized them so much. And that's the life of a pen.
Thank you, Speaker 3. Speaker 2, a life of a pen. A life of a pen. Speaker 2.
What is the life of a pen? How does it start off? How is it used? How does it end? What problems does it suffer? And how would it feel if it were alive? Madam Chair, ranking officers, and fellow cadets, I am going to bring you through the life of a pen. A pen starts out in the factory being constructed. I would imagine that the pen doesn't have conscious yet. It is being made. And then finally, as you add the ink, it comes to life. It wakes up. It's in a factory, wondering where it is, just waiting. Then suddenly it's blinded and thrown into a box. The pen wouldn't know what's going on as it's being shipped. Suddenly, the box is open and the pen can see light again. The pen is then put on display in a store. As it rests there for all eternity, other pens beside it share information with it. The pen knows where it is now It has a very bad understanding of the world. It thinks getting bought is good, so it tries to look its best as people walk by, but nobody takes it. It waits for eternities, waiting and waiting, day after day, month after month, until finally a little girl comes, looks at the pen and says, "Mommy, I want that one." It's picked up. The pen is filled with happiness. Finally, it has purpose. Finally, it can do something for civilization. It's brought home in a car. It's unpackaged and it is held. The pen is proud. It's being used to write. It doesn't know what's happening, but it's happy that it's being used for something. It's being clicked. Ink is being left, but that's when the pen realizes something. It's losing ink, the thing that's keeping it alive. The pen realizes that it's going to die. As it's being used and used, the pen gets more sad and sad, until finally the day it is run out of ink and it is thrown out. The pen will now be forgotten for all of eternity. That is the life of a pen.
Thank you, speaker 2. Speaker 1, a life of a pen. A life of a pen, speaker 1.
From the dawn of time, humanity has used things to, create, draw, whatever. From the first caveman that whittled down a bone or something to sketch something on the dirt, to the new big high CEO jotting down a note for a paycheck or whatever. Pens were made to be used by people. People decide what the pen is used for. When a pen is first created, its sole purpose is to go to a person. That person will use that pen to create something new. It could be used for drawing, writing, something. You could write the most beautiful story, you can draw the most beautiful pictures. That pen's life is dependent on how you use it. The pen, I'm sure you have all heard the phrase that the pen is mightier than the sword. And to me, I believe this to be the case. The sword is used to destroy. Just destroy. The pen is used to create. The ability for creation is always more important, at least to me, than the ability to destroy. We have destroyed so much, and the pen can create so much. Once the pen is used, the ink is dried up, or its life is tragically cut short when it breaks or gets lost. It's tossed. This may seem sad, but to me, it isn't. The pen has fulfilled its purpose. It has done something. It has helped create. Pens they're getting slowly phased out by computers. Pens are something that you can feel emotional about. Pens are something that you can write with physically. The computer is emotionless. It does what it is told. The pen, it also does that, but it feels just so more authentic. While computer is very easy to use, you just, type, and the words will magically appear. The pen is an extension of the self. When you use a pen, it is your writing. Your style of writing is unique to others. The computer is not unique. It uses the same font. You can change it up, but it has already been used before. It is not your own. The pen is a very special case. It's being phased out, yes, but the pen will forever be remembered as something that is for creation.
Thank you, speaker 1. And this concludes all our impromptu speeches for this competition. I will have all our judges moved back into the judges' room with our counter people, and they will culminate the numbers. And I'll also have the timers move in there as well, so they can also email the tellers their length of speech to account for any time faults at this time. So I hope everyone enjoyed all the speeches that these cadets have given us. It was quite a delight to listen to everyone here and also to see such beautiful faces. It's been a while with social distancing. So while we wait for the results, we are going to introduce to you our cadets. Speaker 1, introduce yourself, your rank, your name, and the squadron you're with.
Hello, I am Flight Sergeant Larson. I am from the 521 Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron. The infamous CI resides here, so yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. The squadron's pretty good.
Glad that you approve there, Flight Sergeant Larson. Now that we're going back to in person, what do you look forward to most at cadets?
Well, just the kind of the energy, right? When Zoom, like I was talking about with the pen, the computer is emotionless. It does what it is told. There is nothing unique about the computer. They are mass produced. When you are in person, your words illustrate to others what you are trying to convey. And it's far better. Human connection is far stronger when you are right next to the person than, I don't know, somewhere else on a screen.
Well done. So you're a flight sergeant. What do you enjoy? Which course do you enjoy most, to teach or like summer camps?
The best ones are about, at least in my opinion, the ones about history. I'm not afraid to admit it, I'm a nerd. I'm a dork, I'm a geek. I fill my time with books, not with parties. And they can teach you so much. And I've learned so much from cadets, books, everything. You are constantly learning, no matter how old you are and from whoever.
I concur. I totally believe that because I am still learning too. Not only at a virtual platform, we're learning all different things every single day, every second of our lives. And there's no harm in being educated, like you say, a nerd, a dork. Those are not words that we use anymore. We're using the words educated and enlightening ourselves so we are growing smarter and growing older altogether there. Now, favorite activity that you've had over this COVID period, this 2-year restriction period? What have you done?
Well, we haven't been able to really do much, but well, I mean, yeah. But early on, I went with my family up to my uncle's farm up in the Peachland area near Kelowna. And there I learned about the different types of rocks because my uncle is a geologist at the UBC Kelowna campus. He teaches about rocks. He's a rock doctor, and he is also a professional weightlifter. So I lift weights and talk about rocks. That's what he taught me.
Wow, 2 birds with 1 stone. Excuse for the pun. um, actually, I'm going to leave you with Miss Chack at this moment because I'm being summoned into the judges' room. So Miss Chack, do you mind taking over the cadet interview session?
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
We always enjoy the interview to the cadets. May I have speaker number 7?
Hi, I'm
My
Puerto
trouble-
Concorde from
Hi.
746.
May I trouble you to introduce more about your squadron?
746 is in Langley, and I joined it 3 years ago. And I haven't gotten much of in-person experience, but like I was in person for 1 year, and then after that online.
Perfect. Oh, what do you think you will be the most interest when we get back to in-person, like any teams or any leadership that you'd like to learn?
I'm really interested in drill, and because the self-discipline that they choose to teach, I really need that in my life. So drill would be my first choice, and effective speaking was very nice experience too. I never really knew that I could speak in front of public, but I guess you never know unless you try.
Not a problem. I learned that like a few years before this. Okay, May I have speaker number 8 introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Flight Corporal Medvedich, and I'm from 147 Airwolf Squadron.
So what did you enjoy the most in your cadet career?
Probably all the opportunities like that activities or teams like effective speaking and range. So those are skills that I don't think I could have got anywhere else really. So yeah, I offered like all those skills in just one program. And archery also I got into through cadets. So yeah.
Do you enjoy any lessons that you teach to the younger cadet?
So I'm a flight corporal. I'm not a senior yet, so I haven't started teaching yet. So next year I should be teaching. So pretty soon we're going to be getting taught on how to teach. And so yeah, I'm looking pretty forward to that. Yeah, it'll be a unique opportunity.
That would be great. Which team that you are looking for when we're back to in person?
Which team? Most likely the range team. Flight Corporal Fan and I, we were both on the range team for the first year and the junior team, and it was really fun. Seeing all the other cadets there and comparing shots pretty much in a competition. And the practice nights, getting together once a week to practice was really fun.
Yeah, I tried once for the marksmanship with my previous squadron, and I off for all the targets.
Oh no.
May I ask our judges to speak some comments to our cadets? Let's start with Louise.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And thank you very much to all the cadets who spoke today. It's always a privilege to come to an effective speaking program such as yours and to listen to the amazing speeches that you deliver and the outcomes from all the years. Some of you have been in it for years, but for sure all the months of practice. I'm a Toastmaster, and I've been in Toastmasters for many years. And I've just received my designation of Distinguished Toastmaster after about 20 years of being in Toastmasters. And so it doesn't matter how long or how short you are in an effective speaking program, your participation is the most important thing. And when I see each of you, I'm always amazed in a good way at how absolutely professionally everybody presents themselves. How you can tell how much work you've done in preparing your speeches, in researching your topics. And it was just a pleasure to be here today. And thank you very, very much. Everybody did a fabulous job. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Louise. May I have Ms. Anderson to give us some comments?
Hi, my name is Constable Nicole Anderson. I am a member with the Chilliwack RCMP currently. My son's first year in cadets this year. So I just wanted to take a moment and just say how impressed I was with all 8 of you guys. I know that it's very stressful getting up on stage in front of a bunch of people and being able to do your speeches.
And also, may I have Captain Dixon from Squadron 746?
Good morning, everybody. It has been a true pleasure to see all of these speakers stand up through fear and anxiety and perform at their absolute best. And I can only say that in addition to all of the comments from the rest of my peers, the judges and etc., the thing that I would add is the character that you build by stepping out of your comfort zone, preparing, knowing that you're going to be stepping out of your comfort zone and doing it through all of those emotions and feelings that come with standing up in front of people, doing things that might terrify you, doing things that you get better at, but the character that grows through all that is something that's immeasurable. And I'm excited for the results, but moreover, I'm excited and look forward with awe to see in your lives what these steps that you've taken today will build and grow into. Well done.
Thank you, Captain. And I see Jermaine is back. So it's the presentation time.
Thank you everyone for your time spent with us today. We have our numbers and our top 3 names are ready to be presented. So let's see. I am going to share screen now. And Catherine, if you can announce.
Okay, drum roll please. Dun, 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 dun. Fraser Valley Wing BC Effective Speaking Competition. So let's start with bronze medal. Bronze medal goes with Sergeant Chateri. Congratulations. He's from 583. And let's move on to silver medal. It's to AC Rizwan. She's from 583 as well. Wow, congratulations. So let's move on to our gold medalist. Drum roll, please. Dun, dun, dun. It goes to Fight Couple Kawa. So he's from Squadron 746. Congratulations to everyone and all the competitors. Your name will be on the wing plaque and your squadron number as well. The BC Provincial competition will be held on April 23rd. Ms. Jermaine Chiu will get the information to the winner. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for the whole squadron, especially Jennifer, who support us 2 years in a row.
So thank you, Ms. Chak, for announcing our medalists here, but I do want to send out every contestant here is a winner for just coming out and having to present their speech in front of us. So thank you for having your speech and presenting to us. Please be aware that you will be mailed your bronze pin, your certificate of merit, and gifts to our judges. And evaluation forms will be sent out to our cadets through snail mail. So it might be a slow process, but it will get to you. And please email me if you do not get yours in the mail there. Judges, I will trouble you to email Ms. Jennifer Medwenich your addresses just so I can send you a small gift of gratitude. Our appreciation does go out to all the coaches, the officers, the judges, parents, and to our host squadron 147 Airwolf, their volunteers, and the cadets for making this year's virtual competition such a success. Our gratitude also goes out to BCPC for their paramount support in this effective speaking program. And this concludes our 2022 virtual effective speaking competition. I thank you and I wish you a great afternoon there. And bravo Zulu to all the cadets that have come out today. Congratulations to all participants.